Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Morgan Renee tuning in for another story time with more of my. We're still in Trying to Sleep in a Bedroom Made by Virginia D. Berry and Donna Grant. I might not do a book this lengthy again, or if I do, I might have to just do it when I got time to do 2 chapters at a time. So it's early. It's 8:30 my time in the morning. So let's see what I can get through without this phone overheating in this Florida sun. And let's hop right into it. We're in chapter 24. If you need to get caught up, go to my YouTube channel, Morgan Myers. You'll see the red logo with the yellow M inside for my brand, More of My, because you're going to want more of my reading, education, entertainment. So let's get into it. Chapter 24. Truthfully, you make hell look good. Pat heard the click and whir, watched the message indicator on the answering machine light up. Then she burrowed deeper into the sofa cushions and returned to Sidney Poitier and Tony Curtis on the 4 o'clock movie. During her first weeks at home, she had looked forward to gossipy updates from former colleagues, especially Chris, who was never short of dish. But one day, as she hung on his every word, she felt pitiful and palpable. The girl parked across the street from her ex's house, watching from the shadows, remember how it used to be and wondering what's going on inside now. She raked cold lo mein into her mouth with chopsticks and wiped her chin with her hand. When she realized no one was calling about a job, there was no point answering, so she let the machine earn its keep. Every few days, she held her breath and checked the tape just in case, but it had been 3 months and not a nibble. She washed down noodles with a swig of wine. Where the hell is she? Marcus hung up. It had taken him a while to work up the appetite for Crow, but he'd finally gotten the gumption to tell Pat she was right. Now he couldn't find her. After their last fight, he had consulted 50-11 doctors, determined to find one to rebuild his arm, but in the end, they all concurred, give it up. For weeks, Marcus jetted between New York, LA, and Miami. He partied, acted a fool, and avoided the big, hairy truth. He would never play pro ball again. Period. The end. He insisted to Booker T it wasn't over yet. Booker tried every way he knew to tell his son all he wanted was for him to be happy, but Marcus was too busy dodging himself to listen. During the ESPN interview, Marcus was asked what he would miss most about baseball. He couldn't answer. He'd arranged his life around the demands of the sport, spring training, the fall classic with the winter reserved for healing wounds, and then it hit him like a fastball between the eyes. He never loved the game in the first place. He put aside his own dreams too long ago to remember them, hoping to shoulder the load of the burden that seemed too much for his parents. But after all his work and sacrifice, Freddie was still dead, and for the first time, Marcus faced his own anger that Freddie had checked out and left him to pick up the pieces. That's when Marcus started putting his life in order. His life, not Freddie's. Baseball had been good to him, but he was ready to move out to die. Hold on, y'all. These iPhones, well, I got a refurbished iPhone 8, and it ain't worth a John Brown. One of these days, I'm going to get all the tech support I need, and this ain't going to be a worry, but we're grateful for them here and now. We're grateful for now. All right. Back at it. So then that's when Marcus started putting in his life in order, not Freddie's. Baseball had been good to him, but he was ready to move beyond the playing field. So when Rich offered him a piece of the business, Marcus jumped at the deal. Gallagher Professional Management officially became Gallagher and Carter Professional Management on November 15th. He just moved into his new apartment, and already he felt more at home than in either of the sprawling, leased with everything houses in Baltimore or LA. Marcus checked his address book, dialed again, and went out onto the balcony. He didn't like to call Pat at work since he had a big scene with the CGG Tasty team after they dropped him as the spokes, but he left messages on her home machine and she hadn't called him. Miss Reed is no longer with CGG. Can someone else help you? No. Leave it to Pat. Probably use her promotion to get a better deal somewhere else. Leverage, that's what she'd call it. Maybe she took time off for her next gig. He watched the runner jog along the Battery Park promenade despite the rainy wind blowing off the Hudson, but he couldn't imagine her not checking for messages. Is she egging me on purpose? A tour boat, lights twinkling around its wide girth, glided downriver. As a kid, he'd always wanted to ride the Circle Line. He liked boats even then, but Freddie told him only white people hung out on boats. I bought one anyway. He still hadn't taken the trip around Manhattan, although in 3 days he was flying to Kookaroo to sell Brothers Keeper back to Boca for the winter. In Florida, he would check out 2 football prospects, then home for 2 days, and it was on the road again. Thanksgiving weekend in Michigan, Iowa, and Nebraska, then he continued west, meeting coaches and looking at players for 2 weeks. Marcus wanted to get the I told you so's over with, and he was excited about the partnership with Rich, and there was nobody he'd rather tell about it. I'll swing by Pat's before I meet Rich at the garden. I'll leave a message with her doorman if she's not home. The slight man in the gold-trimmed maroon jacket reminded Marcus of a toy soldier. Miss Reed said no one is to be sent up. He spoke with a lisp. Hey, wait, you're him. In the flesh, Marcus flashed the "you can trust me" look. You're a friend of Miss Reed? A very old friend. Has she been back long? She hasn't been nowhere to be back from. He lowered his voice and continued on the QT. If it wasn't for deliveries, we would have thought she was sick or something. Weeks indoors? That's not like Pat. Marcus fished $100 from his pocket, let the doorman see it, then closed his hand around it. You ring her, I'll do the talking. The doorman peeked at Marcus's hand. I have to get the dog in 3B. Congratulations. Marcus held out his hand. The doorman shook it, copped the cash, and went inside, leaving the house phone in the vestibule unattended. Yes, what is it? Pat sounded annoyed when she answered the intercom. It's me, Marcus. Heavy silence. Pat, what's up? I've been calling you. Listen, Marcus, I don't feel so hot. Another time. Look, I'm not leaving until you let me up or call the cops. The choice is yours. That's when the doorman returned, Pomeranian in tow. Can I help you, sir? He asked as if he'd never seen Marcus before. I'm here to see Miss Reed. Marcus still had the phone. Pat's voice was muffled as it came over the line. It's okay. Let him up. The door was ajar, and cigarette smoke met Marcus as soon as he stepped inside. The apartment was dark except for an erratic flicker of white light. From restless nights in hotel rooms, coming down off 9 innings of adrenaline, Marcus knew it was the TV. Pat? In here. He found Pat in the living room, curled into a corner of the sofa. Are you sick? Marcus came around in front of her. She looked whooped. I guess you could say that. You name it, I'm sick of it. What the hell is wrong with you? He could see the coffee table littered with takeout menus, empty soda cans, balled up paper bags, and an overflowing ashtray. The fermented grape scent mixed with stale smoke smelled like a dive bar at closing time. I only let you come up so you would leave. I don't intend to play 20 questions. You've seen me and you know where the door is. Pat took a sip from her glass. Whoa! Marcus stepped over a pizza box and took up a position between Pat and the silent TV. I'm not going anywhere until you tell me something, because this is not standard procedure. He shoved his hands in his trouser pockets and waited. Pat aimed the remote control around him and changed channels. She looked up at him like she wished the remote had a button to get rid of him, too. Marcus didn't budge. They fired me. She looked away. Are you happy now? What do you mean they fired you? I thought you got a promotion. Nice touch, huh? That's some funky stuff. He sat on the other end of the sofa and hunched forward. Life's full of funky stuff that you can't do nothing about. Pat clicked the remote again. I used to think so, but a friend of mine helped me get my head straight. He reached up and switched on the lamp next to him. They both squinted in the light. Pat wore gray sweats and one sock. Her hair looked like free-form steel wool, and the hollows beneath her eyes were deep and dark. I'm sure I look like hell, but since I didn't invite you, truthfully, you make hell look good. When was the last time you were out? She looked at the soundless set. Who cares? I don't have any pressing appointments. A job isn't your life, Pat. It was. She lit a cigarette and tossed the match at the overflowing ashtray. It landed on the table. Marcus shook his head and put it in the ashtray. No anti-smoking sermon? Okay. She took a long drag. I had a neat, prosperous corporate life. I socialized around it. My so-called friends came from it. Everything I've done in the last 10 years was for my career and my father. But she wasn't ready to talk about that. And you know what? It all turned to slime. Okay. Do you want to tell me what happened? Nothing new. I should have seen it coming, but I was blinded by the bullshit. You going to tell me or keep beating yourself up? She exhaled a slow stream of smoke and recited the gory details. They couldn't fire you without cause. He rested his arm on the back of the couch. Pat smirked. They can do any damn thing they want, but technically I wasn't fired. That was my choice of words. Officially, CGG is now a division of Trafalgar Trace worldwide, and I became redundant. I got a lovely golden handshake. A what? Mark asked. My severance package. Oh, they compensated me well after playing me for a fool. I'm not the only casualty. Lloyd Zabriskie, the man who hired and fired me, got canned too. You're good at what you do. You'll find another job. Yeah, I thought so too. I called the people who said if you leave CGG, come see us. What I heard was, I'd love to make you an offer, but we're holding the line, especially on exec row. Keep in touch. The usual bullshit. Audition myself. Excuse me, I used to. I'm sure you haven't even scratched the surface. I'm not sure what I want. I'm not sure I want to. I don't know what the hell I want, which is the first time that's happened since I was a kid, and I decided I was going to prove I'm not like Verna. You can start by proving you're among the living. A shower is a good first step. Right. Pat hunkered deep into her corner. Follow your own advice, hard as that may be. It's your life. Get on with it. She glowered at him. Smart ass. You had a hell of a lot to say to me a few months ago, and you were right. That's why I came by, so you could gloat. I left you messages. I know. I didn't feel like talking. Now I know you need to get out of here. You always have something to say. Obviously, I should have been minding my business. I should have been minding my business instead of tending to yours. Didn't you hear me? I said you were right. About baseball, Freddie, absolutely on the money. I needed to make a choice based on what I wanted for once, and I did. Congratulations, Pat snapped. Now will you leave me alone? Not a chance. I gotta get you out of here. I know you're dying to hear what I've been doing. Don't try to deny it. Marcus grinned and eased back in the sofa, hands behind his head. I can see you burning with curiosity. That actually got a smile out of her. You got tattooed and joined a motorcycle gang? No, I got it. You become a fashion designer and marry Tia? If you don't get your butt off this couch and get ready to go out, I'll throw you in the shower myself. You got till 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going anywhere. He walked to her end of the sofa. 5, 6, 7, 8. Pat crossed her arms and legs, ready for the sit-in. 9, 10. Okay, have it your way. She knew he'd pick her up if she didn't move. Fine, okay. Give me 20 minutes. Pat laughed out loud for the first time in weeks and headed for the bathroom. Marcus left the something's come up message for Rich, and 20 minutes later, Pat, hair brushed in a smooth cap, emerged wearing black stirrup pants, a matching tunic, and no makeup. She tugged her black trench coat from a hanger, but Marcus reached past her. You're not going to a funeral. Wear this one. He grabbed the red coat next to it. The rain had stopped, but a damp chill lingered. They strolled down First Avenue, and Pat looked up as the tram crossed the East River. I always wanted to do that. Why didn't you? I don't know. Seems silly, I guess. I never had a reason to go to Roosevelt Island. Maybe you don't need a reason. He ushered her west at 61st Street. The tram waggled on the river like a carnival ride, and after the round trip, Pat's spirits seemed a bit brighter. There's something I've always wanted to do, too, Marcus announced. What's stopping you? Pat asked. Not a thing. They raced across town, and on the 43rd Street Pier, caught the last tour boat of the day. They stood on the upper deck and sailed toward the glimmering tip of Lower Manhattan. Ignoring the tour guide's banter, Marcus explained how Gallagher and Carter was going to become a major player in the sports management business. Pat envied his enthusiasm for his recruiting trip and the long-range goals he and Rich had laid out. It's been years since I felt so fired up. Each promotion at CGG carried her farther from the action, but she still longed for the thrill of a challenge. The bridges floated by overhead unnoticed. Brooklyn, Manhattan, Williamsburg, Queensboro. Maybe I need a change. Other than a pinpoint focus on bitterness, she hadn't allowed another perspective on her situation. Was I even happy? When was the last time I really enjoyed what I was doing? I wanted to succeed, make him proud, and for what? You know what, Pat? Last time I saw you, you told me things about myself I didn't much care for. My head's kind of hard, so it took a while to sink in. But before you go on telling me how I was right and all that, I have to come clean, too. She looked down into the churning water. You told me about my The word caught in her throat like a jagged barb. She swallowed hard and lowered her voice till it was barely above a whisper. Turner Hughes, you were right. Pat gripped the rail, and tears trickled down her cheeks as she told him most of the blistering details of her last meeting with Turner. Marcus could hardly keep still as he listened. He wanted to hunt Hughes down and jack him up. He wanted to hold Pat tight and take the pain away. She was the strongest woman he knew, yet he had always felt the need to protect her, to make her feel safe. Like that afternoon in the Saunders basement, he fought his urges and instead draped his arm over her shoulders and gave her a gentle squeeze. Pat lit a cigarette, and for once, Marcus didn't object. They drifted down the channel between the Jersey Palisades and the Cloisters, and they were standing like that when the fog that had wrapped itself around the city like a soul slipped away, and the glittering midtown skyline sparkled in the distance. I'm sorry I was right. I wish it could have been different. I know how much you wanted to be, like a family. Verna told me the kind of man he was, but why would I believe her? She said sadly. I guess I got what I deserved. He treated me the same way he treated my mother. Maybe you should tell her that. I never knew what to say to her. I know even less now, but it's a moot point because we lost touch over 15 years ago. Although he wasn't convinced, Marcus decided to back off the Verna issue. You need to get away for a while. It will be good. I thought about it, but I couldn't even get enough steam to look at the Times travel section, and I have the paper delivered. Suppose you didn't have to make any plans. Like one of those horrible club things? Club Marcus, but leave out the horrible part. Day after tomorrow, I'm flying to Kookooru. You remember, home of your favorite rum punch? I'm selling my boat back to Boca. I figured the trip should be 2, maybe 3 weeks, give or take. Come with me. Pat shook her head. It sounds great, but we've almost ruined this friendship more than once. 2 weeks on a boat, we'd be lucky to be speaking to each other when it's over. There's a lot of room, if that's what you're worried about. You'll bump by yourself, no strings, just sun, the sea, and the salt air. I don't know anything about sailing. It's not a sailboat. You were aboard. The only thing Pat remembered was passing out. I can't, Marcus, really, but thanks. Don't think you can stay in my company for that long? That's not it, but I have to, what? You can job hunt when you get back. I bet you can get on my flight. Pat shook her head. The boat docked with a gentle thump. You worried about money? No, I have money. Why do you all always think it's about money? Who all? I just asked a simple question. Damn. I'm sorry. It's what he asked me. Turner, how much money I wanted. It's a bad time for me, Marcus. I'm pretty lousy company right now, in case you haven't noticed. Besides, I have no time to prepare for a trip. The anonymous tour guide wished the departing passengers a pleasant good night. Pat and Marcus made their way past the terminal and headed toward 10th Avenue. You have 2 days. It's not like you need a damn evening gown. This isn't a cruise. Dressing for dinner means putting on shoes. Then again, it might not. It sounds very nice, Marcus, but it's not a good idea. I'm expecting some calls, and it sounds very nice, Marcus, he mocked her. You have to control everything, don't you? Your way or no way, right, Pat? He turned to face her. It wouldn't kill you to let someone do something for you. Not that you need anyone. You never have. He started walking again. That's not true, Marcus. Suit yourself. We'd probably kill each other. They walked to the corner in silence. We're going in opposite directions. Let's take cabs. Pat's tone was efficient, like she was leaving a business meeting. She waved at the stream of traffic headed uptown. No problem. A cab screeched at the curb. Marcus opened the passenger door. Take the lady wherever she wants. He handed the driver a $50 bill. Before Pat could protest, Marcus crossed the street. The taxi zigzagged in and out of traffic, and she tried to get him out of her mind. Why do I always say the wrong thing? Of all the people she had once cared about or had ever cared for her, only Marcus remained. But instead of leaving her thoughts, Marcus was joined by Verna, Uncle Joe, Gil, Aunt Loretta, Ma Ray Turner. The uninvited guests piled into the taxi and followed her home. What if he was gone too? She fell asleep, shivering under the blanket of her past, and when she awoke up cold, Pat was still cold. She lay in the bed. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I read that wrong. What if he was gone too? She fell asleep shivering under the blanket of her past, and when she woke up, Pat was still cold. She lay in bed, staring through the open closet door at the dirty clothes that had hung long ago, spilled out of the hamper. She refreshed her conversation with Marcus, trying to find fault with his observations, but she couldn't. Angry at herself for wallowing in self-pity and disgusted about the condition of her apartment, Pat called her regular cleaning house. The rest of the morning, she wheeled the telephone. She wanted... Sorry, y'all. I'm getting sleepy. Let me read like I'm reading. She lay in bed, staring through the open closet door at the dirty clothes that had long ago spilled out of the hamper. She rehashed her conversation with Marcus, trying to find fault with his observations, but she couldn't. Angry at herself for wallowing in self-pity and disgusted by the condition of her apartment, Pat called her regular cleaning service. She straightened up enough so the place wouldn't scare them away. The rest of the morning, she willed the telephone to ring. She wanted Marcus to call and ask her again. This time she said yes, but she knew he wouldn't. All right, that's the end of chapter 24. Yeah, I'm going to take a little break. I thought I could push through, but I had to hop back with chapter 25. All right, I'll tune in with y'all again soon. Peace.